Fast food workers, what is your sir? This is a Wendy's moment. I work at a Chili's, and when I was hosting, old people would constantly come in and talk about how weird it was that we redecorated so suddenly and where did the salad bar go. They thought we were Sizzlers, which was 2 buildings away from us. Happened at least 4 times. Was a shift manager at a McDonald's in the middle of mall. A guy walks up to the counter with several McDonald's bags of food. Guy, my wife came through your drive-thru and you messed up the order. Me, are you sure she came through our drive-thru? Guy, yes, she told me she came through the drive-thru, and when she got home she realized the order was wrong. You'll need to give us our money back and give us the right food. Me, confused while looking around the mall. Me, did she drive through Sears or JCPenney to get here? Guy, looks around and finally realizes he's in the middle of mall, grabs the bags and huffs away. That was the single greatest amount of human stupidity I had experienced until I joined Reddit. Nothing erodes faith in humanity like working retail and spending too much time on the internet. First of all, FUOP for making me relive this. Now, working at McDonald's, every single day at the same time, 1600 hours, this old guy would come in and order his food. Most people knew that he wanted a special order. Overcook the shout of the patty, started up right when he walked in. Anyway, that's not the problem. That was easy. The problem is this dude was forgetful as all hell, and would demand a ceramic plate to eat on every time. So that's when we would explain it to him. Dude, this is McDonald's. We don't have plates. And he'd usually be like, oh right. But sometimes he would just rant about how we should have plates. I saw him absolutely flip the F out because a girl stepped outside the break room with a plate of food she brought from home. I knew you bastards had plates and could not convince him otherwise ever thereafter. Keep it in the break room is the moral of the story. I worked in a Jimmy John's. A dude in a military uniform came in asking about a military discount. Told him we don't give military discounts. To which he proceeded to flip out, pull out his phone and start recording a video, ranting about how we won't give him his military discount like he deserves. I had someone ask if we gave military discounts. The answer was no. The reason why it was memorable was because I live and work in Australia and he was an American. Even if we did give military discounts, it wouldn't be for a foreign country's military. So, this is our Australia. Dude came to drive through. I opened the window. So, how can I help you? I'm out our checks. He replies calmly, not sure I follow you. I say, I'm out our checks. He says again more impatiently, right, I heard you but I don't know what you want me to do about it. You can pay with cash or card too. Dude gives me a weird look then says, oh this ain't the bank, and peels out away from the window. I'm a pharmacist. Someone at that drive-thru is dealing. It wasn't me involved but I witnessed it. I worked at Burger King when I was a teenager. We are short-staffed one day, and the girl on the drive-thru was on break, so our manager stepped in to cover her. He was pretty old and didn't have the best hearing, so most customers were pulling around to the window to talk to him as he was struggling to hear through the headset. Anyway, this one guy rolls up to the window and shouts, I want a large Big Mac meal with a Coke please. Is that so damn hard? My manager very calmly says, my apologies sir, that won't be difficult. He leans out of the window and points down the road. There's a McDonald's about 3 miles in that direction. They'll be able to help. Have a nice day sir. Then he just closes the window and walks around the corner out of sight. I laughed so hard. I used to manage a Del Taco during my high school teenage years. We had an older man come in once a month and drive straight through the speaker to our window. At said window he'd look at me until I came over, start ordering Starbucks, then midway through realizing it was a Del Taco and drive off. Once a month, every month, for 2 years. I used to work at Target and they hired a new girl, who had previously worked at Walmart, to work the fitting rooms and by default the intercom system. A few days after she started she was about to make an announcement over the intercom and I guess habit took over because she started the announcement with attention Walmart shoppers. She realized her mistake and made a good recovery with you are in the wrong store. She is a genius. That's the type of co-worker that makes my life bearable. Work at Panera. Guest calls in from car. Several people in background, all giving orders for a pickup. First order is something simple. Next order is an item we don't carry. A salmon dish of some kind. I know there are some regional panaras that have or have had salmon. We are not one of them, so I let them know, hey, I'm sorry but we don't carry salmon. Maybe and the person on the other end of the phone cuts me off and starts getting really aggressive. Yes you do, they scream. But I don't, we don't. So then I'm like, hey, maybe you're thinking of another chain. We are very similar to, and I start to list off some other places, and they cut me off again screaming, I know you have salmon. I ate it just the other day, and at this point I'm just being honest with them and say, hey man, I don't really need this attitude. We don't have salmon. I can't make the dish for you. You have us confused with someone else. There's a long silence and finally someone, not the person who's been yelling, says, wait, this isn't insert some totally not Panera sounding place that I don't remember here. No. And then everyone in the car starts yelling at each other, and I hang up. Customer service is the worst. Worked at a small roadside produce place. My boss had a few different stalls, so I was often left to run the store myself. I remember this lady walked up. Do you have any tomatoes? Sorry we don't, but the place down the street has them. Then go there. Worked at a Dairy Queen. Had a lady saunter in all frustrated, bag in hand, whipped out her receipt and without giving me much context said, there's up to be a Baja Blast. I told her ma'am this is for Taco Bell. She quickly said my bad and sped out of the restaurant. I think she was making up a story and did it in the wrong store. Also the number of people who asked do you serve ice cream is way too effing high. I worked at a Wendy's. Had one guy try to order McNuggets over the speaker. When I asked what size they wanted, they got all defensive that I wouldn't call them McNuggets. Fine. I'll take a Whopper, a Dave's Double, or Baconator. Needless to say, they screamed at me and zoomed off into the smog set. Worst year of my life. I worked at the concession stand at a movie theater in high school. This guy orders a popcorn and large Diet Pepsi, comes back to the counter like 10 minutes later complaining that his soda is carbonated. I explained to him that all of our sodas are carbonated and he asks me if we had a microwave. We did. So he wants me go into the back and microwave his soda. He wants it warm but not too warm. Went to the back and had to pour the soda into 2 different cups because the original wouldn't fit into the microwave. Truly bizarre experience. Back when I was in fast food, I had someone who wanted me to remove all the sesame seeds from the top of a bun. The answer was no. Not a worker but a hapless victim of my own drunkenness. My wife and I were walking back to our hotel after a meal where I had about 4 extremely well-made margaritas. I wanted a mocha milkshake for dessert, and the following happens. Walked up to the counter. Employee, what can I get you? Me, I will have a mocha milkshake. Employee, we don't have it here. Me, what kind of Arby's is this? Employee, sir this Hearties. I completely blank out. Wife, can you mix some chocolate and vanilla shake together? He's too drunk to notice the difference. Y'all wouldn't believe the amount of disappointed rich people who come to Panda Express and find out we aren't serving authentic Chinese food. Once a well-traveled rich woman came into Panda Express and stood at the buffet line for about 10 minutes, critiquing our mistakes and explaining how Chinese cuisine doesn't actually have fried wontons with cream cheese filling. Mom, we just fry what came in the bag from a warehouse in California. I worked at a Chipotle for 4 years and got some pretty interesting requests, but I'll never forget the time someone ordered soup. Chipotle doesn't have soup. I promptly reminded her this was a Chipotle, but she insisted we could do it, so we made her soup at Chipotle. It was the grossest concoction of bean juice, sofritas, mild, medium and hot salsa, and sour cream. She was stoked. Lady, you're too high. Worked at McDonald's. We would always get people that would ask for a Whopper burger, either seriously or trying to be funny. Cue the exhausted we don't sell Whoppers sir ma'am, we have the Big Mac. In response, usually we get a no. Right, okay, one of those, until one day we had a guy come through drive-thru that asked for a large Whopper meal, and instant reply back, sir, we don't sell Whoppers here. We have Big Macs or quarter pounders or McChickens. He replied, no, I don't want that. I want a Whopper. Me, sir, we don't sell those. This is a McDonald's. The closest equivalent would be a Big Mac, but it's not a Whopper. If you want an actual Whopper burger you need to go to Hungry Jack's. Burger King. Reply. A fine Whopper meal. Me. Okay sir, I can't give you a Whopper meal here, but I can order a Big Mac meal for you. The Big Mac is the closest equivalent we have, but it is not a Whopper. Are you happy with a large Big Mac meal instead? Him. Yes. Was that so hard? We give him a large Big Mac meal, and sure enough 10 minutes later he is back through the drive-thru screaming into the speaker that he hasn't gotten his Whopper burger. I worked at a liquor store a few years back. One day a man walks in and puts 2 bottles of whiskey down, and as I'm scanning the bottles I make the usual small talk. How's your night going? The man took a deep breath and looked me in the eyes and says, well, I just walked in on my son video chatting a reffin' middle-aged man, so it could be a lot better. I didn't quite know what to say, so I told him, oh, that's not good. Enjoy your drinks. I was the manager at an overnight shift at a burger place. Drunks were always trying to order pizza and other dumb stuff. One night a guy insisted he wanted a pizza, so I said alright, but it will be $100 and take like an hour. We was like cool, came around and gave me $100 at the window. There was 4 of us there, so I told the dude to park, sent a worker to the grocery store across the parking lot to buy a Red Baron, brought it back, cooked it in our oven, took out to the dude who had fallen asleep in his car. The 4 of us split the off of $95. I had to deliver a pizza to a motel and the customer was a drunk, condescending a-hole. Like, hey pizza boy, couldn't get a smart person job, huh? Stay in school. He literally said this to me. Then he asked how much his pizza was. I told him $9.87, and he handed me a $10 bill and told me to keep the change. Cheap bastard. As I turned to walk back to my car, I saw that there was an extra 0 on the end. He'd accidentally slid me a Benjamin. I hauled A to my car, and he must have figured it out because he started yelling to me. I just knew he was going to call the store, so I hid the $100 bill in my car and replaced it with a $10 from my own wallet. Sure enough, the manager was waiting at the door when I got back. I handed him my cash belt so he could count it, and he found that I'd made like $15 in tips for the night so far. Sorry about that. Gummy kibble. I knew he was just a drunk a-hole, but I had to check. If the customer had been halfway decent, I absolutely would have told him about the mistake. But treat me like a loser? Thanks for the tip. I worked at Dunkin', and one time a customer came through the drive-thru and complained to us that the drive-thru was built in a way that made it hard to drive. She started yelling at my co-workers, so I just put down what I was doing and told her, Mom, we cannot change the construction of the building. Like seriously though, what did she want us to do? I just make sandwiches. I worked at a pizza place and I got a complaint that we delivered sushi. It was a pepperoni pizza, but he could not be convinced. Not exactly a fast food worker, but I do work in a restaurant and people can get Deliveroo Uber Eats from us. A couple times a week a driver will show up and show us their phone with an order for a 12-inch sub. Yeah mate, that's the Subway across the street. We're a pizzeria. Read the address. God knows how they find the customers' houses. Back when I worked at Burger King years ago, we always used to get people coming in and ordering Big Macs and other stuff from McDonald's. The cashiers just said screw it and put in orders for Whoppers or whatever the closest parallel was for whatever they ordered. There were even a few conversion charts near the cash registers just so we could save ourselves the headache of figuring out what to put in. It's stupid, but nobody really complained about the food they got, so I guess that's a win. The downside was that quite a few guys also treated the place as a place to try and pick up dates when female cashiers were around. So yeah, that went over poorly thanks to management. My family runs a concessions trailer at fairs. Lots of great stories, but this one always sticks out. We have a giant 16-bay steam table directly in front of the serving counter. It's old and some pans don't sit quite right, so there's always a bit of steam leaking out. Our trailer is built around one item. Empanadas. Not really, but similar. The trailer is even called that. All the signs advertise empanadas in big letters. So one day it's like 90 out and sweat is just running off of all of us. We're packed. The line is running down the street, and we're 8 servers deep at the window. Customer comes up to the window, after standing in line for probably 15 minutes, sees us with soaked shirts and headbands, steam pouring out of the table, and they ask, "What flavors of ice cream do you have?"